Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I want to start a new playlist here on Seoulite TV called Korea True Crime and Mystery. We're going to go over all of the shenanigans that have happened in Korea over decades. There has been a lot of stuff that has sent chills up people's spines, and we still haven't really solved the fundamental laws and rules that would prevent such instances from happening again. And the first case I wanted to go over is probably yet another inspiration for, the Psycho River Killer case that's still going on, where insurance money was the main driver for what they were doing. Well, back in 2003, we're gonna go over a case where a mother took her own daughters and one of their cousins to the swimming pool with disastrous results. And not to end on such a morose topic, I wanted to go over, in our K-Beauty review, the magical toner, the one that you splash on, not put on a cotton pad, that you must have and that you must avoid. And let's say you bought one of these that you must avoid, what to do with the remainder should you find yourself in a situation where you don't like the product. Nothing ever goes to waste. Okay, so hold on to your hats and glasses, or grab something to hold like a teddy bear or a pillow, because things about to get a little creepy. Let's roll the clock back to 2003, October 12th. A lot of indoor swimming pools in Korea, and especially back then, it was a very popular place to go with young kids. It still is, but probably even more so back then. A 35-year-old Mrs. A, will call her, she's a mother. She took her two daughters and one of their cousins to the swimming pool, and then the younger sister, only 9 years old, passed away in the water, seemingly like it was a drowning incident. But there was something very suspicious about this so-called accident, because of course the pool is going to take some responsibility, and when they tried to do CPR, the weird thing about this case was, usually when you do CPR on a drowning victim, water will come out of their mouth and nostrils. Nothing came out. So that was the first clue. The pool wanted to do an autopsy, so you can totally tell, the pool wants to say hey, not our fault. And the autopsy revealed something very interesting. Death by poisoning. Poisoning. And if you haven't looked at Who Killed Jane Stanford, that also mysterious death by poisoning that they tried to cover up and attribute to food poisoning. So how did this happen? Well, apparently, Mrs. A gave a yogurt drink, one of those cute little, very sweet but very delectable and very uniquely flavored yogurt drinks. They say it's supposed to be all has probiotics, but a lot of people also say it's just sugar water. Whatever the case, it's delicious. Kids love them, and they're so tiny, so especially when you are small, it doesn't seem so small, but it does seem special. And I guess, because they're so small, you can buy lots of them. And the Yagurut ladies are those famous ladies who go around and deliver drinks. This still happens to this day. Now they have motorized carts, but they go around, and it's supposed to be about kind of service and kind of feeling good, that somebody would actually go all the way into your office to your desk and drop off a beverage. Now they've diversified into cold pressed juices, and even if you just want some milk, they have everything. And so apparently Mrs. A only gave the 9-year-old daughter, the second daughter, a yogurt drink to drink, and she felt so special that she bragged to her older sister and cousin. And that's where the testimony came from. They said that, yeah, she was bragging how like, oh, mom gave only me this drink, and not you guys. And so after she drank that, apparently she was drugged from that drink. But the mother denied any wrongdoing. Yes, there was poison found in the daughter's body, but the mother denied any wrongdoing and there was no smoking gun. But the police would not let this go for about 2 years. And so what they did find was that the day before the second daughter drowned, the mother took a life insurance policy out on her daughter. And in cases of drowning at a swimming pool, the payout is about $100,000. But not only that, they found that the mother didn't have enough money to buy this insurance policy at the time, so the insurance agency floated and fronted the money, the initial costs of signing up for the insurance for the mother, which meant the mother went to great lengths to try to enroll a 9-year-old in a life insurance policy. Most people, like, if you don't have enough money for a life insurance policy, you don't buy it, especially if it's for a 9-year-old. Additionally, when Mrs. A was called into the police office and told to make a written testimony, people thought that the details were hard to believe and that there were a lot of suspicious elements. For one, she wrote that there was an emergency crisis, so she called somebody to help. She said, oh, I called somebody to help out because an emergency had occurred, but that was the erased version of the word. She had originally used the word critical illness. She called somebody because there was a critical illness, which is we tok, but then she erased it and then she put we cook, which basically means emergency. So people were like, that is a little bit suspicious, especially to like a criminal profiler. They will pick up on small little clues like that because actually even the word tok means poison, so there could be like some sort of like subliminal kind of guilt going on over there. Now, it still was not enough, so during this time they actually implemented this machine that was like a lie detector test but using your brain waves. It's called the P300 and they attached it to the mom. And what it's supposed to measure is if you've seen something or an object, they're placing pictures in front of you and they're measuring your brain waves, and if it spikes up within 0.3 seconds of seeing it, that means it's eliciting a very strong response. So they gave her a bunch of different images that might be a little bit suspicious, and then they gave her images of a yogurt bottle and some snacks, and then the machine went crazy. 0.3 seconds, that's it. It just goes and then drops, and it's not even a second. So with that evidence, they also looked at her micro expressions, and after a long investigation, they concluded that she was indeed a criminal and gave her a life sentence. Now, the story doesn't end here. No, not at all. She had a lover. Yeah. Apparently, though, it wasn't extramarital because 2 years before this incident, her husband had died. But before we get there, the reason why investigators were also tipped off to this, they found that she had a lover, and they got phone records and phone transcripts somehow, or phone recordings. I don't know, are they recording all of us all the time? But the guy said that, oh no, you didn't poison somebody again, did you? Like, you didn't use poison on your own daughter again, did you? And they were like, again? Does this mean that she's done something like this before? So they looked back into cases that could be mysterious around her with her friends and family, and they found that, oh, it looks like her husband died 2 years earlier. Back in 2001, Mrs. A's husband had died, and on the day of his death, Mrs. A and her husband went over to a friend's house to make some kimchi. And so if you know, in Korea, in the fall when the cabbage is like summer harvest fresh, so basically that means it has the sugar content is a little bit higher from all the sunlight over the summer. That's when Korean people also make tons of kimchi as a big kimchi making event, especially to get through the winter back in the days when you couldn't just, buy kimchi at the store all the time. And as part of the tradition is that, yes, you're supposed to let it ferment, but there's a tradition like right after you make the kimchi, you eat the freshly made kimchi. It's crisp, it's kind of fun. And a lot of the times you eat oysters, raw oysters. And so they went back home. Mrs. A gave her husband a cup of coffee. Probably like a mixed coffee, especially back in 2003. I don't think she was like, running espresso machines and stuff. And the reason why I say that is that like in that mixed coffee, if you like, dab a little bit of Vado, you probably can't taste it. So immediately he had like convulsed and then like fell over, and she called like, I guess, the ambulance, and then they took him to the hospital. And when she was talking to the doctor, she said that, oh yeah, he ate a lot of raw oysters after we went and made some kimchi. And so the doctor was just like, okay, well, he died from an acute heart attack because he had chest pains and stuff. But she never mentioned the coffee. And then so he just wrote down, most likely because of food poisoning from the raw oysters that triggered an acute heart attack. And so they just kind of let that case go at the time. But then now that the daughter's case was so suspicious, they looked into a little bit more details surrounding the husband's death, and they found out that the husband had 2 life insurance policies already on him. But right before the incident, she had taken out 4 more life insurance policies, so there was a total of 6 life insurance policies on her husband, and it would total about $37,000. So, looks like she got away with that, free and clear. But police kept digging, because it doesn't even end there. Apparently, the next year, in 2002, Mrs. A's friend died. A friend. Apparently she invited her over. She said, let's have some cake, let's have some, like an afternoon tea. And they ate cake together, and suddenly her friend collapsed and died. The autopsy also concluded that she had an acute heart attack, but there was an additional note attached to the autopsy from the person doing the analysis, and they said that they suspect that this person who died might be a drug addict, but there was not enough evidence. But that basically meant that they had found some sort of drugs in her system, and they were like, oh yeah, well, she's probably a drug addict. Not like her friend had poisoned a cake or coffee or something. Probably coffee. If she figured out that the coffee would, work on her husband, why not? And then the cake was yeah. So there was, again, a Mrs. A connection, and to confirm it, to put the cherry on top, what had happened right before Mrs. A's friend died? She took out a life insurance policy, and the super sus thing, the beneficiary, was Mrs. A. Now people are just like, oh no, this is crazy, because most people do not put your friends as the beneficiary on your life insurance. It's your family that are the beneficiary. So that was super sus. But there was like a lack of evidence, even though the husband of the friend had filed an appeal saying like, there's something wrong with this. This is not a kosher situation. So he did that, but then the authority was like, well, funeral happened already. It's hard to continue an investigation. There's nothing really conclusive here, so sorry, dude. So this must have emboldened Mrs. A so much, but Who does that? I guess she thought that maybe she had an extra backup with like her older daughter. I don't know. Or was she just planning to pick them off one by one, maybe even the cousin, seeing how like maybe the yogurt thing might work and trying to get bigger and bigger payouts? Crazy. So at least she had a life sentence. But again, with this whole Psycho River killer case, she wouldn't be the first. She's probably thinking like, hey, this is a system that we got in Korea. So beware, my friends. If any Korean people ever, say like, hey, let's go, sightseeing, let's go eat tteokbokki, and then let's sign up for some life insurance, run the other way. Alright guys, so I told you about the magic of toner, but the toner that you put on a cotton pad to kind of get debris off, and then the toner that you use to form the basis of your moisture, kind of glowing skin type of situation, is different. And so this is AMOREPACIFIC Luminous Effect Brightening Toner, one of my favorites. Actually, it's my all-time favorite, but it's super expensive. And this exact one, the Luminous Effect Brightening Toner, I've been told a lot of the times is only available in Korea, but then there are very similar ones that AMOREPACIFIC, I guess, sells overseas. But this one, there is a lot of great ingredients. AMOREPACIFIC is basically like the Samsung of Korean cosmetics. When you think of, or like Estee Lauder, because they have a lot of sub-brands. I've talked about Innisfree before. That also comes from AMOREPACIFIC. Seoulite, the one that, that uses a lot of the ginseng, that's also AMOREPACIFIC. And so I think in the premium category, there's kind of a battle between fans of Seoulite and fans of AMOREPACIFIC. I'm more definitely on the AMOREPACIFIC side. I believe in Seoulite only from all of the reactions that I've seen a lot, especially middle-aged women. They seem to love that brand. On my skin, it just doesn't seem to kind of like do anything, especially to justify the cost. But this, I know we're supposed to be not into like fragranced cosmetics anymore, and I don't really like it, but if you gotta have a fragrance, I like the way that this smells. It's very fresh. It's almost like a faint unisex kind of like fragrance, but it's not just that. It's that I think it works. It just, when you are washing and then you use a toner, your pores are like open and like your skin is in the most vulnerable raw state. So you want to kind of like cool it down, and then you want to seep stuff in that's good. And this AMOREPACIFIC, I think, is really, really effective. It just makes you look good. I don't know how else to describe it. It just makes you look better. And I haven't used this in a while. It's all gone almost because it's so expensive. And I'm also trying out different things. Now, remember I told you about the Misha Time Revolution, and that was like a substitute for SK2, using like the whole fermented rice water toner? Well, Sinic also came out with one, and I think this was the time when I was like experimenting with different alternatives, and this one was like even more watered down. I was just like, what is the point of this? And then I was always super suspicious of Sinic because I don't know anybody who really like uses it. I don't really see it in the stores, but on one of our shopping sites, 11th Street, it's always promoted and promoted and promoted. And at the time I was like, wow, look at this startup. Like, they must have like some deep pockets because they're just like promoting themselves all the time. Well, guys, I looked it up. Turns out this line is produced by the online shopping site itself. So this is like a subsidiary of 11th Street. And 11th Street is essentially a subsidiary of SK. So, you know, like SK Telecom, and then they also are in the oil and petroleum business, or like in everything as well. And they, no wonder they were like promoting their own stuff. So it's as if Amazon came up with their own cosmetics or skincare line, and then you just, whenever you went there, you saw like ads and deals all the time for their own cosmetics line. No wonder, because I was just like, on other sites they're not like so like heavily promoted. I was like, it must be somebody's cousin. Well, actually it might be one of the cousins or one of the family members within that whole Chebol family is probably running this line. But maybe the technology and the formulas have gotten better, but this was such a dud. But what I did is like, I put it in a bottle and I mixed it with some other of the other toners that I didn't really like that much, and then suddenly it becomes a very, very fancy and high quality face mist and spray, you know, or even like in your like hair around you, if you just want to like cleanse your environment. It kind of feels like, ooh, like after a fresh rain. Amazing. So you guys, definitely you want, if you can, AMOREPACIFIC. Out of all of their stuff, they're so expensive. So if there's only one thing that you would buy from AMOREPACIFIC, it would be their toner. And then Cynic, you can know that, yeah, it was shadily pushed. So you can just skip. You can skip this whole brand. Unless, you know, there's like some shocking deal and that leads me to try it and give it another shot. Who knows? Because like this, the lowest standard of Korean skincare is still really good. So, you know, if I was lost on a desert island, you know, if I had to choose between this and maybe like L'Oreal, no L'Oreal, I would still go with this. So I'm not saying like it's totally crap. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Like this thing with a whole like insurance scam and then taking like it to the end with even your loved ones is kind of a very scary place to be. But we still haven't reformed all of the systems here in Korea, so it's still a little bit loose. But I think what we are seeing is that the insurance companies are being much more careful and ready to involve the police when they see something is a little bit sus. And so at least that is a good thing. Alright guys, well, leave your comments below and remember to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.